Hello, welcome to the CIRS Healing Collective Expert Guest Video Series. I'm Jenny Johnson, the host and facilitator of the CIRS Healing Collective, which has been a resource for aspiring CIRS overcomers to share and connect from around the world since 2020. I'm a Shoemaker Proficiency Partner and CIRS coach, and most importantly, an overcomer myself. What you're about to see is a 10-minute excerpt from a 90-minute group discussion that members of the CIRS Healing Collective got to have live with this expert guest. If you would like to see the full 90-minute replay, come on over to the CIRS Healing Collective. We have a robust video library from the past 5 or 6 years of so many expert guests. Better yet, you'll be able to join our future monthly live discussions with experts to come. We'd love to have you.
I kind of like to explain when it comes to medical symptoms that occur from indoor air quality in a building, for example, there's two paradigms, two universes that take place. One I call traditional, one I call inflammatory. And symptom-wise, we know that 5 to 10% of the population have allergy and irritation to mold and water damage. And in that paradigm, those people that are sensitive with that, those symptoms are primarily upper respiratory, the wheezing, sneezing, coughing, runny eyes, runny nose, headaches. You go away from the problem or you get rid of it, and those symptoms resolve pretty quickly in days and weeks. And the irony is that about 95% or more of all the physicians, the mold inspectors, the home inspectors, the insurance adjusters, and on, mold remediators, testers, all operate in that paradigm. They operate with the type of testing, the implications of measuring outdoor versus indoor with spore traps and all that. The remediation's done. The tester comes back and does a spore trap air test inside and outside, and everything compares well. Containments come down, come back, living your home, everything's healthy and safe. Okay. The other paradigm I call inflammatory. We know at least 24%, and anecdotally, we know it's a much larger percent of people are born with a certain subset of genes in a group called HLA haplotypes. I'm not telling you guys anything you don't know here, but the deal is if you have those, these genes are like a dimmer switch. They can be on, off, or somewhere in the middle. And these genes, there's 5 or 6, 7 genes in that group that if they become on to any degree, they slow down the elimination of what are called cytokine inflammagens from your body. We all have them. We all get rid of them. But if we don't get rid of them fast enough, they build up. And if they build up, there's 37 known symptoms that can arise. And to make it all the more confusing, these symptoms are all common. We all experience them. To have some of these symptoms doesn't mean we have this CIRS illness. But if you have a certain preponderance of these symptoms, and you also check out medically with biotoxin blood panels and gene tests and such, that, it may be the buildup of cytokines that bring on these symptoms and allow them to occur. So, your physician can help diagnose that. But in that paradigm, the irony is that over 24% of the population has this and suffers from it. Most of the population that has it doesn't know they have it. They just suffer or get symptoms treated and not the cause. So first of all, I congratulate all of you that you're lucky that you're in the right places to know what's going on and that you have good possible treatments to make you better. Go to the store, you buy these mold killers, these mold sprays, and, use bleach, all kind of things to kill mold. But the deal is whether this stuff is alive or dead can get to you and cause symptoms. So just killing doesn't solve the problem. You have to get rid of the stuff. And the chemicals used to kill can affect you. For those, many of you are chemically sensitive. So, again, I'm not telling anything right now that you don't know. Okay, but I want to tell you this because Some people are lucky and don't fall into either paradigm, traditional or inflammatory. Some are a little unlucky and fall in one or the other. Those that are the unluckiest, but not the end of the world, fall into both. So, I mean, I've worked with a lot of clients that fall into both, one or the other. And another way to think of this, think of a bathtub that is, say, water filled with watering. You turn on the water and the tub fills up. Now you pull out the drain plug and the tub starts draining. Now, if the level of the water doesn't go down and even rises, it means the water's coming in faster than it's draining out. So picturing your body's an empty tank with these cytokine inflammagens like water. Now, the doctor can give you binders and drugs to open the drain and drain the tank. I focus on the valve at the top of the tank to keep stuff from going in. Now, if the speed of what's going in is equal or greater than the speed of what's going out, the tub doesn't drain. And when the tub doesn't drain, your symptoms persist. So it's not uncommon. You're taking meds, you're taking binders, you don't feel any better. And it could be because what you're breathing is coming in faster than it's going out. So it's really imperative in your environments, be it your home, or if you work in a different location or spend a lot of time in other locations, you may be getting this tank filled inappropriately. So my job, is to help you keep that tank from getting filled. Okay, that's A. B, when you have water on building materials, there are 30 known life forms that can grow. Molds and environmental bacteria are the main things. And when mold grows, they morph from their family names like Aspergillus, Penicillium, into what we call species that have two names. So I call the genus the parent, I call the species the children, because the children have two names, just my own crazy way of thinking this stuff. And when you get to the species level, each species correlates with specific chemicals created to fight microscopic warfare with their neighbors for domination. And while this microscopic warfare goes on, these chemicals that are created emit into the air. At that point, they're called mycotoxins, meaning airborne toxin, and they attach and dry on surfaces in your home, on the walls, on your sofas, on your computers. And when they dry, they're not alive and they're not mold, they're dry chemicals that were created by mold growth. Even if that growth occurred 10 years ago, if some of those chemicals are still present on surfaces, they get brought into the air through air movement disturbances into what you breathe that can cause your symptoms if your body's sensitive to mycotoxins, which many and most of you are. So mold, a lot of people come to me and they say, look, there's no mold in my home. I had an inspector, we looked through the house, we did spore trap tests, everything looked good. How can the house be affecting me? So when we do dust testing to do like Hertz Me and Army test, what we're measuring is the level of those dry contaminants, whether they occurred yesterday, today, last month, 5 years ago, or 10 years ago. And those that have been around the longest, when you do a dust collection, if you take dust off areas that accumulate dust versus areas that are newer dust, you're getting a lot longer history and some biased readings. I'm not going to go in that now. Here's where I want to dive in. I want to give you a simple example. I kind of call it a thought experiment. I want you to imagine and picture that you live in the back half of a large, brand new, giant shoebox. I'm telling you shoebox because of the shape. And halfway across this shoebox, there's 4 or 5 air purifiers or filters running. And at the far end of the shoebox from the far wall, occasionally, not all the time, a sandstorm comes out and it travels through the box to the other end. And sometimes the sandstorm can be very light. It could be medium, it could be heavy, or it could be not at all. So you're with your family living a happy life in the back half of this shoebox. And all of a sudden, a light or medium sandstorm comes out, and it first hits these air filters. Now, these filters are running at full speed, and each filter can only take out what it can to its capacity. So if that sandstorm is light or medium, those filters take care of the whole deal. None of that sand comes back into the space you're living in. Okay, now, once in a while, that sandstorm can be heavy. And if it comes out moderately heavy, these filters will take out what they can. A small amount will get back in your living space, and that amount might be below what I call your trigger levels or your sensitivity thresholds, and you still feel good. Now, if that sandstorm comes a little heavier, it gets by, some of it gets by the machines, but it's a heavier load that gets by, and now you don't feel so good. So what do you do now? So we're going to open a window on each side of this room you're living in. You're going to put a fan in one window, blowing air out, which is going to pull air in from the other window, and it's going to blow the remaining sand out. That's called ventilation. Now, there are three methods we know of to make your indoor air quality as safe as possible. One is cleaning all the debris and dried stuff historically from walls and content. But generally, we don't want to do that until we know what all the sources of it are and that they're no longer acting as sources. Otherwise, you have to do that over and over. So I want to talk a minute about air purification. There's two general types, maybe a third. And an air filter is just exactly what it sounds like. It filters and takes particles out of the air to a certain size of particle, and the particles get trapped in filters. There are each machine has a limitation of what it can do. And a lot of these machines, the draw of air coming into them is kind of contained. It's not necessarily getting the whole room or the whole house. So you generally have to move these machines around a bit to get maximum homogeneous filtration in an area.